Part 1. The Trap of Endless Waiting and the Tyranny of the List. Introduction, a letter to the weary. This philosophy, originally voiced by Theodore Roosevelt, is deceptively simple. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. This is not another magical cure-all, but rather a century-old practical framework designed to remedy the primary affliction of modern adulthood, the waiting disease. We spend our lives waiting for the perfect moment, more abundant resources, or a quieter season, failing to realize that this mythical ideal will never arrive. Embracing this truth is profoundly liberating. The method derived from this mindset requires just 3 realistic actions a day to move your life forward. While a daily plan of only 3 items may sound remarkably modest, this deliberate constraint is the only honest path to substantial results for anyone who no longer has time to waste on illusions. The someday later trap and the illusion of the perfect moment. Certain goals are never truly abandoned. Instead, they simply migrate from one year to the next, quietly draining your psychological energy. This accumulation of deferred dreams forms a heavy burden of a postponed life, generating a persistent background feeling of not living to your full potential. The core mechanism of this trap is the deep-seated belief in a right time to begin, assuming that life will settle down once a major project concludes or a crisis passes. In reality, one project is immediately replaced by another, and new challenges constantly emerge. The perfect moment does not exist. It is merely a convenient justification to avoid the inherent risk of starting. While a goal remains safely relegated to someday, it stays flawless and invulnerable. But the moment you begin, it becomes an ordinary, imperfect task that might fail. The real cost of waiting, unlike money or health, time is an entirely non-renewable resource, and a year spent waiting is gone forever. If you analyze the remaining active decades of your life and subtract the time required for sleep, work, and daily routines, the remaining margin for what truly matters is surprisingly small. Every year spent in hesitation subtracts from this limited reserve. Recognizing that a year is a tangible, irreplaceable segment of your existence eliminates the desire to squander it on illusions. Postponement is never a passive pause. It is an active decision not to live today. This realization shifts the modern paradox of productivity into view. Despite having an unprecedented array of organizational tools, our sense of falling behind has only intensified, turning traditional to-do lists from an anxiety relief mechanism into a major source of stress. The tyranny of the endless list and the Zeigarnik effect. Looking at a massive list of tasks does not grant a sense of control. It creates intense psychological pressure. The human brain cannot focus on dozens of open loops simultaneously, meaning that an exhaustive list merely multiplies anxiety rather than productivity. This phenomenon is deeply rooted in the Zeigarnik effect, which demonstrates that unfinished tasks remain actively wedged in our memory and consume cognitive resources, while completed ones are naturally released. Every unexecuted item on your list functions like an open tab in the browser of your mind. Keeping dozens of these processes running in the background explains why you can feel completely exhausted by evening without having accomplished anything significant. Chronic adult fatigue is rarely caused by the volume of what we have done, but rather by the weight of what we have left undone yet continue to carry in our heads. Being busy versus being productive. Society frequently conflates sheer busyness with actual productivity. Busyness is mere motion, whereas productivity is movement directed toward a specific destination. It is entirely possible to spend an exhausting day answering emails, putting out minor fires, and switching contexts without moving your most meaningful objectives forward by a single centimeter. This deceptive form of activity provides a sense of fatigue that mimics genuine labor, serving as an ideal cover for avoiding real work. By crossing off minor, low-stakes items, we experience a fleeting burst of satisfaction, while our most critical priorities remain untouched at the bottom of the page for months. A task list must serve you, not dominate you. If you end your day exhausted but no closer to your true goals, you have fallen victim to the tyranny of the list. The philosophy of 3 words. Roosevelt's formula provides a structural foundation for this entire method. What you can address is your actual real-world capacity rather than an idealized version of yourself. Most plans fail because they are designed for a hypothetical persona who is perfectly rested and entirely uninterrupted, whereas reality forces us to operate while tired, distracted, or stressed. Doing what you can is a permission slip to work with your authentic energy level, whether that means a high-intensity push or a single microscopic step. With what you have targets your immediate resources. Waiting for a perfect alignment of time, money, and circumstances means waiting forever. True progress begins by auditing and utilizing the imperfect assets already at your disposal, whether that is a spare 30 minutes, professional skill, or a single contact, where your demands and acceptance of your current starting point. Treating your present situation not as a life sentence, but as the only tangible reality from which you can actively push off. Why limitation is freedom. The core psychological pivot of this approach rests on a counterintuitive truth. An excess of options paralyzes action, whereas deliberate limitation creates true freedom. Restricting yourself to 3 daily tasks removes the crushing burden of perpetual choice. You are no longer responsible for managing everything at once. You are only accountable for 3 distinct actions. This boundary functions not as a cage, but as a supportive frame that makes it easier to begin. Accepting a flawed, limited reality is not an act of capitulation, but a position of true strength. Fighting reality is a statistical guarantee of failure, but anchoring yourself within it allows you to leverage your position. These 3 tasks liberate you from the tyranny of everything else, establishing a clear threshold for what genuinely matters. Part 2. The method and practice, crisis, and long-term mastery. The anatomy of a proper task. The 3-task method fails if your choices are merely safe, minor items that cultivate a false sense of virtue. A meaningful task must meet 3 definitive criteria. First, it requires importance, a clear connection to a foundational area of life, such as career, health, relationships, or growth. Passing the test of whether daily repetition over a year would tangibly alter your life. Second, it demands feasibility. It must be entirely executable today under your current constraints, meaning broad goals must be broken down into daily actionable pieces. Third, it must drive advancement, shifting you away from zero rather than merely maintaining the status quo. In adulthood, urgent tasks shout for immediate attention through burning deadlines, while important tasks remain silent, carrying no immediate penalties until it's suddenly too late. This method is a daily mechanism to reclaim space from the urgent to protect the important, ensuring that at least one selection remains dedicated to those critical, quiet priorities. The power of 3 and the daily ritual. A single daily task is far too fragile. If your day disrupts that lone objective, you are left with a sense of total failure. Conversely, 10 tasks replicate the scattering effect of an endless list. 3 serves as a structural sweet spot, broad enough to cover distinct areas of life, yet minimal enough to hold entirely in your mind without digital assistance. The process of selecting these items must become a protected 5-minute ritual executed before opening emails or absorbing external priorities. Tasks must be articulated as concrete actions beginning with a verb. This selection can be significantly enhanced through the evening anchor technique, defining your 3 tasks the night before. This practice preserves your fresh morning energy for direct execution, allows your brain to subconsciously process solutions during sleep, and closes the current day with a profound sense of clarity. Auditing resources and the minimum action. An honest inventory of your real assets usually reveals that you possess more than you think. Time is rarely entirely absent. A candid look uncovers pockets of overlooked minutes currently lost to aimless digital consumption. Identifying your peak energy windows allows you to align your most critical tasks with your highest cognitive capacity. Furthermore, your accumulated professional skills and personal network represent highly transferable capital that sits waiting to be used. Waiting for flawless conditions is simply a form of perfectionism disguised as prudence. Progress requires a principle of minimum sufficient action, identifying the smallest possible step that can be executed immediately with current resources. One written paragraph or 10 minutes of movement will always defeat a grand, unstarted masterpiece, because the compounding power of small, consistent actions creates massive long-term results. Action here and now without self-violence. Bridging the gap between planning and execution requires overcoming procrastination without relying on sheer willpower, which is an exhaustible resource. Procrastination is not a character flaw, but an emotional avoidance strategy triggered by fear, ambiguity, or overwhelm. To counter this, you must lower the barrier to entry using the 2-minute rule. The brain rarely resists the work itself. It resists the perceived scale of the task. By shrinking the initial step down to something so small it provokes zero internal resistance, such as simply putting on your shoes or opening a file, you easily overcome the inertia of starting. Once in motion, momentum naturally carries you forward. Concluding the day is just as vital. Acknowledging what was completed closes open loops and reduces background anxiety. If a task remains unfulfilled, evaluate it without guilt, adjust your approach, and reset for tomorrow. Career, money, and the reality of second career. After midlife, professional decisions carry increased weight due to expanding financial and family obligations. Paradoxically, grand career shifts are best managed through incremental daily actions rather than destabilizing leaps. Breaking an overwhelming transition down into tiny daily objectives, such as reviewing market requirements, reading an industry article, or updating a single line of resume, creates immense structural progress over a month. The same principle applies to financial growth. Income rarely scales from a single heroic act, but rather from a sequence of deliberate, manageable tasks. For those navigating a midlife career change, your accumulated maturity and professional network offer a distinct advantage. The secret is to construct a new bridge one plank at a time while remaining securely on your current shore, allowing your daily tasks to gradually build your next professional chapter. Health, energy, and quality of presence. The physical body is the ultimate important but not urgent priority. It remains quiet until it suddenly signals a crisis. This method protects personal health by preventing the twin extremes of total neglect and unsustainable fanaticism. Protecting your future requires small, sustainable daily deposits, a walk, an extra hour of sleep, or choosing water over caffeine. Furthermore, adulthood requires a shift from managing time to managing energy. True efficiency means identify your cognitive peaks, protecting your sleep as a non-negotiable foundation, and taking strategic pauses before complete exhaustion sets in. This deliberate investment extends directly to relationships and family, which cannot be optimized or rationed like projects. Relationships thrive on genuine presence rather than a high volume of distracted hours. Your family does not need a massive block of time where your mind remains tethered to your job. They need brief, concentrated intervals of undivided attention. Intentionally anchoring these quiet priorities within your daily framework ensures you protect the connections that matter most before the window closes. Navigating crises and building a system for years. When a severe crisis hits, the scale of what is possible shrinks dramatically. In a storm, the 3 tasks shift from an instrument of forward progress into a survival mechanism designed to keep you afloat. A valid task under crisis might simply be resting, eating, or making a single phone call to secure stability. These modest targets provide an essential anchor of personal agency when external circumstances feel entirely chaotic. If a major failure occurs, it does not invalidate the method. It simply reboots at your new, actual starting point. Resilience is not the absence of hardship, but the capacity to consistently establish 3 modest objectives for the next day. To prevent this daily practice from dissolving into a routine treadmill, it must connect directly to your broader life design across 3 distinct horizons. The top horizon focuses on a 10-year vision that acts as your strategic compass and direction. The middle horizon establishes annual goals, setting 3 to 5 key results across core areas. Finally, the bottom horizon brings it down to your daily 3 tasks, executing concrete steps that feed the higher levels. Regular weekly and monthly reviews ensure these horizons remain aligned, adjusting your course as life evolves. By limiting your workload and enforcing balance, this framework acts as a long-term strategy for a marathon, preventing burnout and ensuring sustainable momentum. Your personal code and conclusion. This method is a flexible framework designed to be tailored to your unique lifestyle. Your personal code involves determining your optimal tracking medium and defining your core life categories. Integration, should occur gradually over a 30-day timeline. Dedicate the first week purely to the habit of selection, the second to refining task quality, the third to balancing different life dimensions, and the fourth to establishing review rhythms. Keep your system exceptionally simple. A basic notebook is just as effective as complex software. Perfect conditions, flawless timing, and uninterrupted seasons will never exist. Life will always remain complex, demanding, and unpredictable. However, true progress does not require a different set of circumstances or a massive heroic leap. It simply requires closing the book, defining 3 clear lines on a page, and taking your next authentic steps right now, with exactly what you have, precisely where you are. However, true progress does not require a different set of circumstances or a massive heroic leap. It simply requires closing the book, defining 3 clear lines on a page, and taking your next authentic steps right now, with exactly what you have, precisely where you are. And if this journey towards a deliberate, focused life resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel to take your next steps together.